On this week's episode, we talk about Overwatch getting a free weekend and PUBG and all kinds of great things that are happening in gaming. Stay tuned.
This week in our collective heads, wanna put an old rumor to bed. Stereotype that you've all heard, how we're all just angry video game nerds. Most of us have actual jobs, kids and families and cats and dogs, yeah. This week in our collective heads, this week in our collective heads.
Welcome to This Week in Our Collective Heads. I'm Kevin, and I'm joined by Patrick, the DM and the GM with class.
Hey.
So this is episode 104, and we're bringing you the gaming news as we do every week.
This is season 2, episode 2.
Season 2, episode 2.
We gotta start labeling that. So we're gonna start telling you the actual label. We'll keep internal track of it. So then we can be like, it's our 200th episode on whatever it's season 3, episode 5, whatever it's called. Yeah, so we put the parenthetical, that'd be cool. Yeah, I think it'd be cool to keep them track randomly, because that's how the legit TV shows do it. You know, they're like South Park's 300th episode.
Yeah.
I would have had to have, put them in a spreadsheet. So someone's got to do this. And speaking of keeping track of stuff, Major Nelson tweets out every single week the backwards compatible games.
Not every single week.
Well, every single week.
He does them when they're ready. We really appreciate the fact that they're working on maintaining digital, because like I was figuring it out this week, and I'm looking at the games that are coming out. I'm actually willing to forego the Amazon discount in order to get my games digitally, because I'm tired of physical games.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to keep the discs. I'm sorry, but I don't really care about loaning stuff to you anymore. I'm like, you can buy your own games. You're fine.
I think for the most part, I'm kind of in that boat. Every now and then, I do want a physical copy, but usually, no.
Like I will keep buying Souls games physical.
I can see that. I feel like it's catch-22, because what always comes to my mind when it comes to purchasing product like this is almost like an archival aspect to it.
Yeah.
Okay, not that I have to keep everything that I buy, but it's like, okay, if I'm gonna buy this and I want to keep it, then I want to be able to play it whenever, and I want to be able to have quick access to it.
Yeah.
So having a physical copy gives me quick access to it, and I can be able to play it at a moment's notice. Also, this is the big problem, though. The server shut down. You won't get updates.
Right. And we have a news item about that specifically.
We do. But at the same time, digital allows me to purchase something. It's in my digital library. It saves space. If I download it, it saves time. So if you upgrade your hard drive.
You know, one of the funny things to me is that I'm actually like, one of the things that it makes me feel better about having a digital copy is that for like if I were to ever get robbed, I'm fine.
You are.
I still have my digital stuff, because they can't. At least I believe they can't. I've heard of people losing access to their accounts, but...
you have to lose access to your account, but you should be able to still retrieve it. One thing that I would love to see happen, and I would love for this to happen in the future, so if you buy an album on Amazon, a physical album, okay, CD, vinyl, Amazon gives you the physical copy, and you get to download the digital.
Yeah.
Which means you bought the physical, you bought the digital. If your house burned on fire, you have a digital backup library.
Yeah, and I'd love that feature.
Wouldn't that be cool for a physical I mean, the only problem is as soon as you trade it.
Yeah.
So that'd be, and that's, to me, I think that's okay, because, well, it would script the resale value. Anyways, we'll go on.
Well,
to that
there's not a. I mean, there's like movie trading company. Like, there's places where you can buy CDs and stuff, but that's not a massive industry the way it is with gaming, and I think that's the big difference. Yeah,
or give me allow me, if I have the physical copy, give me a little redemption code that's like, here's your redemption code to buy the digital copy for $10. I bought the physical copy.
Yeah, I would absolutely do that.
I'll give you an extra $10 to allow me to have it digitally as well. I think it'd be perfect. Anyways, so we're
back to the actual news.
On our tangent for our gaming news. So Major Nelson tweeted out about some backwards compatible games for Xbox because Xbox One is backwards compatible with Xbox 360, and they continue to give more backwards compatible games on this.
And the first one on the list is Undertow, and Undertow is about a surfer.
Okay.
Who's living like he goes out and he chases like the storms and everything, because for a surfer the storm is when you get the big story. And this whole thing is told through like did you play Axiom Verge?
Yes.
Okay,
did,
so you know how at the beginning it has kind of the 80s 90s comic or cartoon rather script, and it shows like scene by scene, and so like it shows him going out to the waves, and then it shows him getting, you know, he gets wrecked by this massive wave and he gets pulled under in the Undertow. Right. And once he gets there, he's like frantic, and he can't figure out which way is up and everything, and all of a sudden there's this thing that slams over his head, and it's like this bubble helmet.
Oh, okay.
And so all it is just like a ring right here, but it creates a bubble around his head, and he's getting dragged by his foot. But you know, the further under the water you go, the less you can see. And then he wakes up, and he's in like a bigger version of that.
And that's where of the bubble?
of the bubble, right? So it's
okay.
He's inside a ring.
Yeah.
And so it's a point and click adventure, and he's trying to find out what happened, because he just wakes up and, you know, coughs up the water that he inhaled or whatever. And so he's trying to figure out from there, you know, what happened. How to even get out of the first room is tricky, because like if you dig, are you going to break the seal? Like so cool. It's a point and click adventure about this surfer who discovers this entire underwater world that he didn't know about via the Undertow, and then like after you solve most of the puzzles in the first room, somebody else comes in via the Undertow. So yeah, it's a really fun imaginary game that I just made up.
Because it's imaginary.
Right, because we don't know what Undertow is, and if we don't know what the backwards compatible games are, we make them up and hope that someday these will get made.
I hope so, because that's an interesting subject. And it really boils down to, we don't want to have to research this. So the second game that is backwards compatible is Monopoly Deal.
Yeah.
All right. So we're all familiar with Monopoly. So you get the rich guy. You get the don't pass go.
Mr.
Don't
Moneybags.
$200. Yeah, Mr. Moneybags. So the Monopoly Deal was a tie-in from 2007. It was a McDonald's tie-in.
Okay.
With Monopoly.
Right, because McDonald's is always doing the Monopoly.
Exactly. So they did a tie-in digital download that if you bought a specific meal, that I think it was the Big Mac meal, you would get a digital download code for the game. And the game, they were trying to back into how Burger King did the Sneak King. Yeah. Ugh. So creepy. This let you download a game where you get to play McDonald's Monopoly. Okay. So while you're playing Monopoly in on the buying stickers to put places on there, right. in the Monopoly game that you buy, it is Monopoly with McDonald's themes with microtransactions.
Okay. So was it multiplayer or single player?
So it is single player. It is you can do a couch co-op, but it was really limited functionality. Yeah. Because the single player aspect was the big part of it. I said microtransactions earlier, and what that really meant was if you buy additional meals, whatever code that normally let you download it would actually either give you a card or give you a property, move you to a specific property. So you had to eat at McDonald's more to play the game in there. So
I wish I'd known about that. Because like Monopoly is the only time that I really eat McDonald's, and like right now I'm eating like way more Taco Bell, because usually I get like one, maybe two things, but now I'm buying the $5 box to try to get an Xbox.
Yeah.
That's the reason.
Xbox One X, right?
Yeah. I want one.
All right,
so that was that game.
Sorry, I apologize. That was Monopoly Deal, the Xbox Live game, Xbox 360 game that's backwards compatible that does not exist.
Yeah. And then the third game that doesn't exist is Virtual On. And which one of us played that?
So I played that on so I played the PS3 version of it.
Right.
But it wasn't.
Right. It was Japan only, and so
correct.
Translation issues. I recall you having difficulty with that.
I had quite a problem with this, because a lot of the So it's a game where you're building robots, but you're building virtual robots. So you're building robots. You are, as a player, are building a robot that is being built within a machine.
Right.
So it's a little kind of weird in that because it's kind of breaking the fourth wall. Do you remember VR Troopers back in the 90s?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's very similar to that where the robot exists in the cyber world, right? So you have to build these robots, and there's some mini games involved, but a lot of it's kind of modular, trying to fix the robot, and then the robot will go fix problems in the code of the machine.
Okay.
So that was the it's this quasi Blade Runner-ish future where it's dystopian for some, but it's really great for others.
Yeah.
And this is how maintenance is done on servers in the future. Is you build the robot, and then the robot goes and does the thing. So you actually do build the robot, and then you go and play as the robot.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun.
Anybody feel free to make these.
Yeah, make them because
And just put us in the credits and send us a copy to review.
Yeah, I don't even need money. I don't even need money. I will play that game. So we have a couple more backwards compatible games.
Right.
Though.
We have Slender the Arrival, which I feel like pretty much everybody knows Slender. Yeah.
I think most people do it at this point, which I think that along with Five Nights at Freddy's, Slender gave horror games a kind of a boost, kind of a revitalization that were needed because a lot of horror games were really, really, really bad. Slender, Slender's one of my favorites from subject matter because it actually started as an internet myth. Mm-hmm. It was an internet myth started by a Reddit thread of try to make a creepy story in 2 sentences off this picture, and Slender's just exploded since then. We also got Super Contra.
Yeah, which Super Contra is awesome. Super Contra is much older than it.
Oh yeah,
because this was not the original release.
No, this is a quasi remaster trying to clean it up as much as possible. But it's still it's a really fun game. It's a great, I want to say throwback, but it's not a throwback because it's retro.
Right, it's legit retro.
Yeah, it's a throwback for you to play it.
Yeah.
We also got Saints Row 3.
Yeah, which is the one that I played the most. And I loved Saints Row the Third. I know that you prefer the earlier ones, but Saints Row the Third was my introduction. Yeah. And you start by jumping out of a plane and falling through cargo, and it's just a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it, and the over the top levels of craziness in Saints Row the Third were a lot of fun.
I think that this is where it lost me because I was liking how they were doing Grand Theft Auto, because at the time. Grand Theft Auto, you had Vice City, you had San Andreas, and then you had and while Grand Theft Auto was giving you different settings, it was not giving me. I mean, it can't give you every setting, right? So to take this, give you a different setting on it, and give you some... It's very innovative in regards to the gameplay for the earlier ones, where you're trying to get gang territory, and the gang territory... if you cleared out every gang territorial area, then, it would be relatively peaceful because you're controlling everything.
Right.
So I kind of missed some of that aspect. They did try to push towards story instead of the open world shenanigans, which is...
You say that was innovative, but I mean that's a lot of what San Andreas was. You were taking over territory again from gangs, and so those seemed very similar to me, and so I enjoyed the more over the top, and so and plus GTA never gave me a vacuum cap machine car thing that I could cannonball people into my opponents.
It's funny because now Grand Theft Auto Online is becoming very Saints Row.
Yeah.
They have, to me, this was the furthest extent it should have gone. You have a mobile operations unit, which is a armored semi-truck kind of thing that has all these computers inside and has a bunch of guns. So it's your way to have a mobile operations base for your crime. But now they have basically flying motorcycles that shoot rockets.
Yeah, sure, why not?
And so they've kind of taken the blue pill as well, or the red pill, depending on how you look at it.
So I don't have to segue out of that.
No segues.
So the 360's indie store is closing at the end of September. That's the last day that you'll be able to purchase new games from Xbox Live Arcade.
Correct.
And this is I get it.
Yep.
And it's kind of a bummer, but like as they've continued to move forward with the backwards compatible plans, I don't see this as that big of a deal. A lot of those games that were quality have come up to the next level, sure. And they're still accessible in other ways, and then you get to keep your purchases.
Yeah.
Someday that's going to close down too.
That will.
But we're still a long way from that.
Yeah.
I feel.
I think that the only people that this hurts, because you get to you still can re-download anything that you own. The only people that it hurts are the very smaller indie devs. And I say very small because a lot of indie devs nowadays, I think we need to start breaking up indie devs into separate categories. So the larger indie dev teams of 6 people. How many does McMillan have working with him?
McMillan is usually about 12.
Yeah, so a team like that.
It's primarily going to be him and like one or two other people,
and
but then they'll have some for music or
music, yeah. So teams like that, which again, we'll come up with another terminology for the lexicon for that. But I think those guys are completely fine with these kind of situations, because what happens is you shut this down. Well, they've already put it on multiple other platforms.
Yeah.
Steam, I think, will end up being the last refuge for this, and PC, because PC you can Steam's going to keep it relatively forever. But if Steam did shut down, you can get all the exe and then patch the game so it doesn't have to look for Steam.
Yeah.
There's ways to preserve it that way. But for larger indie dev teams, I don't think this is a problem. Like you said, they're going to push it up to the next gen. It'll be on other platforms. Some of them will even have a physical. But I think it does kind of hurt some of the smaller devs. And Xbox Live was one of the first ones to really kind of cultivate and bring more indie games to the mainstream, to the front.
Yeah.
Before this, indie games were obviously very PC centric, but even then it was hardcore PC gamers were playing indie games. Most of the people who were more casual gamers, and by casual I mean how often they play and how much they think about gaming.
Yeah.
I would say that was all relegated to PC, and Xbox Live kind of pushed that to the forefront. Now you can buy indie games anywhere.
Yeah. The other thing about this is that these games are going to be consistently old. Like the last things that have been put on the Xbox Live Arcade for 360 is stuff like Minecraft Story Mode, Pinball FX, and so those are going to be games that came out to other platforms, like you said, and then they have to move on, and so like most of the purchases are going to be made fairly soon after it comes out. And even if it's going to ramp up into a higher development, these people have already moved on from these projects. This is not an active place to publish anything, and hasn't been for several years.
This is going to be interesting next month.
Okay.
That's how you download games for the Games with Gold. As you go through the Xbox 360, Xbox Live store.
Right, but this is the arcade section specifically, so...
Some of the games that were on that list for the arcade section are ones we've gotten through Xbox Live.
Okay. Well, I'll research that more.
Goat Simulator and others.
Yeah.
I'll find it interesting. I'll let you guys know if I run into any hiccups on that.
I'm sure that's something that they've thought of.
I think it is, too. I'm just hoping that it's not going to be like... I don't know. It should still be backwards compatible, so who cares?
And...
Speaking of who cares, a lot of people cared about the NES Classic.
Yes.
And
more people care about the SNES Classic because it is a superior product. I'm gonna just say that.
I don't know if more people care about it. We'll see what happens on that, because I think there are different demographics that want these, but I'd say the people who still game, SNES, or because people who are older who still game care about that because it was a superior console. If you go specifically for nostalgia, I think the NES wins, because they're more casual.
Yeah, it's a wider demographic.
It's a wider demographic. But the NES Classic is going to continue. Resume production in 2018. So they didn't say when. They didn't say
they said summer.
Any of that. They said
a vague.
They said
it's coming out in summer. It'll be fine.
Yeah. So that's anywhere between April and September.
Yeah.
Because
at some point they're gonna throw it up.
Yeah.
Reggie Fils-Aimé also said, hey, so we've heard a lot of you are, anxious about your ability to get the SNES Classic. Don't pay scalpers, which we said already.
Yep.
He was like, and then he said, you'll be able to get one. And I said, I don't believe you.
No.
Because, and so, like, I looked into the possibility, like, at one point it popped up at, like, there are stores that are only accessible to the military.
Okay.
And there's one that popped up on there, and so I asked my brothers to go look and see if that was something that they could do, and then they both forgot because they don't love me that much.
Apparently.
And so like that's a thing.
Yeah.
But for Fils-Aimé to come out and say, yeah, it'll be fine. Don't pay the scalpers. We will have plenty of supply. I don't necessarily buy it, but I do believe that they are paying enough attention to realize that just publishing it until the end of 2017 is not going to be enough.
No.
The demand for this is...
It's going to have to go throughout 2018.
Yeah. And so they've said that they're going to keep producing it and that they will be able to bring supply up.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that's the case. I hope that everybody that can get that wants an NES Classic, myself included, can get one.
Yeah.
But we'll have to wait and see.
It's all going to boil down to, can you walk into the store and pick one up?
Yeah.
And I don't think you'll be able to.
Nope.
I will be picking one up. If they let me pick up two, I'll pick up two, but I'm guessing they won't.
Yeah.
I'm going to be picking up one on launch day, so we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens on that.
Yeah.
I will say Nintendo is listening, and another show of that, which they in the past have not listened very well, but another showing of that is how Switch chat is going to work. So now voice chat will continue if you're going into other apps. It's going to continue during sleep mode, which I think is kind of interesting. I don't know. I'm worried about that when it comes to battery. So they said improved support for Bluetooth devices, for Android devices. I'm curious about that. I don't know. That's got to be the Bluetooth connection for the chat app, is what I'm guessing. But I don't know.
Yeah, it's a very strange app, and you still have to have it wired in and plugged up. But at least you can, one, turn the screen off, and two, if you get a text message or call or something, the entire thing doesn't just implode.
Yeah.
Because when that happened, I saw that on the live stream. When that happens, like, you just cut off, and nobody knows why. Nobody knows you've been disconnected, and it's awful.
Yeah.
So
at least they're improving those things relatively quickly, because in my opinion, we're not yet at a time when Switch multiplayer matters that much.
Yeah.
Right now, at least. So
yeah, it's only for certain specific games.
Yeah.
But speaking of multiplayer, that game company's next thing is called Sky. We knew that part, but it is going to be a mobile thing. They're saying that this is going to be, and I like this particular section. If you're watching on the video, is very reminiscent of the very end of Journey. Spoilers?
Maybe.
And so I think it'll be really interesting to see how this works on mobile. It's really pretty,
yeah,
especially for a mobile thing. And one of the things, I was listening to an interview with Genova Chen, and he was talking about how with Journey, there were a lot of people that reached out to them and were talking about how this was something that they were able to show non-gamers and be like, look at this beautiful thing. Yeah. And they could even hand their moms and grandmas the controller, and because there's no fail state, they could be like, here, just go for it, go explore, run around. Yeah. And the buttons are very simple. There's 2.
Yeah.
And you just kind of push your character in the direction you want to go, and it will go that way.
Yeah.
And so the idea of Sky is that this is going to be the next evolution of that, and this is going to bring even more people together. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what we'll be doing in that world. We'll see.
We'll see. A lot of push, like you said, for the multiplayer and the sharing aspect. They wanted to really hit on.
And the thing that they talked about is that Sky is a game about giving.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we'll see what that looks like. It's going to launch initially on iThings, and then it's going to come after that to other platforms, because you can't say Android anytime that an Apple person is listening, apparently.
I just thought because they're saying Android and Windows is what they were thinking, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So we'll see how that goes, how long the exclusivity is. I mean, I guess I'll play it on your phone until it comes to mine. But I'm Android. I'm gonna stay Android.
Well, one thing that I'm gonna stay is classic point and click gaming, because that's a segue.
I'll let you have it.
So Thimbleweed is going to be coming out. Will be coming out for Switch and mobile, which I think is interesting that it's coming to mobile. I'm happy about this, but this is the co-creator of Monkey Island.
So Ron Gilbert is the guy from back in the day that's on this one.
Yeah, I'm thinking of the person everyone associates Monkey Island and those games too, and I'm drawing a blank for some reason.
Okay.
But I think I love point and click. I love this throwback to a really great really great time in gaming, in my opinion, where you had to tell a story through exploration.
Yeah.
And it wasn't the gameplay itself was about the exploration. It wasn't about fighting or anything like that. So I'm really happy about it, and it's coming to Switch. So again, buying games on Switch because it's the place, in my opinion, for indie games.
Yeah,
I want to support that.
It's also a really good place for point and click is a good thing to have a touch and where you can just kind of poke around on the screen until something happens.
Yeah, and Switch has that if you're playing in handheld mode at least. So I think that's really cool. We had some kind of sad news this week. From the Naughty Dog family. Bruce Straley has left the building.
Yeah, and after Uncharted 4 came out, he took an extended sabbatical, and so basically he's been kind of off the grid as far as games go since that happened. And I think it'll be really interesting because for me, Straley and Druckmann have been the team.
Yeah.
And they've been working together for a long time. Straley was the 15th employee of that company, and he was like just doing technical stuff, doing some art, doing whatever. But he stayed with the company. He kept, and as they grew, he took on more assignments, more responsibility, and eventually got to the point where he and Druckmann led Naughty Dog through their biggest transformation into Last of Us, which is nobody saw that coming, but they had a vision that they took and they turned into this thing. So we'll see what happens, because for me their creative design has been very much joined, and so I think it'll be interesting to see as they go off in their own separate directions. As far as we know, Druckmann is still with Naughty Dog, and so it'll be interesting to see which specific aspects came from which mind. Yeah, and I think that'll be a lot of fun. But I'll continue to be interested in whatever it is that Straley's making. Oh yeah. He's not ready to announce it, but he has already gotten kind of back into it, and he's working on something else. Hopefully gaming. Hopefully. I mean, maybe I don't know. Maybe he's making apps.
Good for him if he's wanted to do something different. But he's at a point in his career he can do that. Yeah, he's definitely earned it. Yeah. Speaking of earning it, you can play Overwatch this upcoming weekend.
Right.
And by earning it, I mean because they have loot boxes. That's a good segue. This proves our point of if you have a good product, if you throw it out to the masses, if you let them play it, if it's good, they're going to buy it.
Yeah.
It's not a threat to your business.
And Overwatch has continued to update, bring out new heroes, bring out new things, because the last time that Overwatch had a demo weekend, Doomfist wasn't in play.
Yeah.
And I don't think Orisa was either. I don't remember. It's been a while since they gave us a free weekend. But there's more content, there's more maps, more heroes, more all that stuff. Yeah. And Hero 26 has also been teased. And he's like, we're playing it internally, and we can't tell you about it, but we like this hero. Yeah. Like won't tell us guy, girl.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're always testing those kind of things, and I think it's fun when you hear these glimpses of that. So one of the things in Magic the Gathering, because they have new sets that come out and new cards, new formats, new ideas, and so they have a team at Wizards of the Coast that is playing the next sets.
Yeah.
They have a team that's developing the sets that they're about a year and a half to 2 years ahead.
Yeah.
So they're playing cards that may or may not see the light of day, but
right.
they have to stay that ahead of the curve. So when they're bringing out something and everyone's like, "Boo, that's weird," like new hero in Overwatch, usually they've tested the heck out of it. In this case, for years, Overwatch hasn't taken that long, but I find it interesting when you hear these little glimpses of things in the future. If you're on Twitter, it'll be vague, very vague statements, but it's really cool to see that. It's really cool to see, especially for them to be excited about it. That's awesome. And one thing that some people should be excited about, especially if you're a player unknown, is PUBG has broken the record for the most concurrent players on Steam.
Yeah, which is amazing because the game that it took out was Dota 2, which had the record up until then. And Dota 2 is a free game.
It's a free game.
Like you just download and play it, and to play PUBG, you have to buy it.
Yeah,
and that's kind of amazing.
Yeah, I think it's amazing. I think that it shows how big this game is. I mean, obviously it's only on PC right now.
Yeah.
But it shows how it drew the audience that it drew. It shows how you can keep and cultivate an online community.
Yeah.
And I'm curious how they can how for this type of game how they can keep longevity.
Yeah.
Because to me, this is going to be
you could introduce a second map.
Yeah, but I think that what's going to happen is this could, if they don't watch it very carefully, what it's going to be is just a very quick flash in the pan.
Well,
that will be fizzled by this time next year.
Okay, and that is a possibility.
That is a possibility.
Did you hear about them going to the talking to Rare and getting their water?
Getting their water? Oh, really? I didn't know about that.
Okay, so Sea of Thieves is what Rare has been working on, and Rare since the Super Nintendo has been really focused on making some absolutely gorgeous lands, and so they came in because they're both Microsoft, both working with Microsoft. Yeah. Rare is owned by them. PUBG is working with them, and so the Rare team went over there and they're like, "Man, your game is pretty cool. You want some water physics?" and the PUBG team went, I mean, yeah, that'd be awesome. And so because these two studios are working both under the Microsoft umbrella, they were able to just give them the assets. And so their water, all they have to do, it's not that easy. I just snapped, and that's
exactly
not
how easy it is.
Not how this
put
happens.
Some water there in the game.
Yeah, just put her new water.
Yeah.
And so
I think that's really cool because historically the hardest things for in regards to video game graphics are water, facial animations, and hair.
Yeah.
And for a company to come in and give them something they've been working on for so long is really cool, especially for a game like PUBG.
It will be interesting though, because they've been so vague about we're only working with Microsoft right now. I think it'll be interesting to see what happens when it goes to other platforms. Like, would they need to pay Rare for water?
That's going to be interesting.
Yeah, that's what I said.
The reason that I think of things like that is this deals with the code. So if they gave them the code for that, there may be a chance that they do have to do that. But historically, and maybe it ends up being a credit. I don't know, because you're literally taking the code. It's kind of like the reuse of sampled sound effects in movies.
Yeah.
Like there are places that you can go to get them or buy the rights to them.
Yeah.
And there are some that are just completely free. So I would assume that it's going to fall into some legality category like that, because if Rare, depending on what Rare said and what was signed, I hope something was signed. The lawyer in me is like, hold on.
Well, it's Microsoft. They're absolutely going, like, this has already been covered by teams of lawyers.
But here's the interesting thing for me. It's like, all right, well, physics. They're talking about water physics and everything. Anybody on that team who has access to it can copy that code.
Right.
And literally copy it into a notepad
Yep.
And
and walk away with it.
And walk
then,
away.
Yeah.
I know that they've probably
did,
got this.
But you wouldn't want to go up against Microsoft's team of lawyers.
No, you would not.
With a copied notepad. No, I came up with this on my own. Scribbling.
I meant notepad on like Control-C, Control-V.
Yeah.
But they more than likely have their internet access and every keystroke and thing that they do recorded.
Most likely.
So yeah, it wouldn't work in that case. But to me, I'm immediately like, oh, this would be really cool to be able to do that, or to not to be able to do that. But it's an interesting gray area when it comes to legality and rights.
Yeah.
But anyways, let us know in the comments what you think about the gaming news this week, and if you think that Rare should get a credit in PUBG for that.
I think so.
Yeah. We'll see you guys later.